Good morning, students. Our today's lessons is about narrative text with me, Teacher Taufik. But before we discuss about narrative text, I'd like to tell you about our learning objectives. We have two learning objectives today. First is students are able to understand about social function, generic structure, and language features of narrative text. So at the end of our lesson today, you are expected to be able to understand the concept about narrative text. And our second learning objective is students are able to tell social function, generic structure, and language features of narrative text. Alright, now let's begin our lesson today. Narrative text is an imaginative story to entertain people. So basically, narrative text is fictional. It is not real. It is intended, or the purpose of narrative text is to entertain the reader or people who read the text. There are some types of narrative text. The first type is fairy tale. Fairy tale is stories that feature magical creatures like fairies, for example. The second type is folktale. Folktale is stories that are passed down from generation to generation in a society. Fable is the third type of narrative text. It is stories that features animal with human-like quantities. The last types of narrative text is legend. It is stories that tell the origins of certain places. The example for fairy tales is Frog Prince. In the Frog Prince story, there is a magical creature which is the Frog Prince. The example for folktale is Timun Emas. Timun Emas is a story that is passed down from generation to generation in a society. The examples for fable is Kancil dan Buaya. In the story of Kancil and Buaya, we have the characters that are animals, but they can speak or talk like human. That's why it is called fable. The example for legend is Malin Kundang. Malin Kundang is a quite famous story that is from West Sumatra. Alright, now we're gonna talk about the social functions of narrative text. The purpose of the social functions of the narrative text is to amuse or to entertain the readers. Now it is the generic structures. Usually, narrative texts contain three parts, namely orientation, complication, and resolution. Orientation is the opening paragraph where the characters and the settings, the places, and the times are introduced. For example, once upon a time, there was a beautiful girl called Cinderella. Here, in this example, we can find that the characters is introduced, which is the Cinderella, and the time is also introduced, which is once upon a time. Complication is the part of a story where problems start to develop. The example for the complication part is one day an invitation to the ball came to the family. Her stepsister did not let her go, so Cinderella was very sad. As you can see in the example, we can find that the problems start to develop, where Cinderella wanted to go to the ball, but her stepsister did not let her go. The resolution is the part of a story where problems start to resolve. It may have sad ending or happy ending. For example, however, the rabbit slept longer than he had thought and woke up. He could not see the turtle anywhere. He went at full speed to the finish line, but found the turtle there waiting for him. Here we can find that the problems start to resolve. Alright, this is the examples of narrative text. The Cinderella. Here there are three parts in this sentence. In this text, we can find there are three parts of the text. The first one is the orientations, where the characters are introduced, and the second one is the complication, is where the problems start to develop, and the last one is resolution, where the problems start to resolve. Now we're going to talk about the language features. The first language features of narrative text is it uses past tense. For example, at first he was too afraid of the raven and did not know what to do. The second example, the big brother took almost everything. Here in these sentences, we can find the use of past form verb. And the second language feature is the use of adverb of time. For example, a long time ago, one day, long time ago. These are the examples of adverb of time in narrative text. And the third one is specific characters. Usually, narrative texts have specific characters like Sangkuryang, Malin Kundang, and so on. And then, narrative texts also use action verbs like ran, chased, cried, begged. These are the examples of action verbs usually appear in narrative text. And then time conjunction like when, then, suddenly. And this is also the most important one of the language features of narrative text is the use of direct speech. For example, this is the trick I told you, the only one I know, said the cat. Here we can see the direct speech, the quotation, the use of the quotation mark. Alright student, this is the examples of a narrative text. The title of the narrative text is A Fox and a Cat. In this narrative text, we can find the use of adverb of time like one day, and the use of past tense like were having, heard, said, arrived, fell, tore, ran. These are the use of past tense or action verbs in the text. And we also find the use of time conjunction like just then, before. And we can also find the use of direct quotation. I know only one trick to get away from dogs, said the cat. You should teach me some of yours. Here we can find the use of quotation mark. It is direct quotations. Students, we finally arrive at the end of our lesson. Thank you so much for your kind attention. If you have any questions about our lesson today, you can leave all your questions down in the comment section below. That's all for our lesson today. Goodbye.